Evening, everybody. I want to address this is something different tonight. I always try to keep things lighthearted, throw in some, try to make a joke here and there. This isn't funny anymore. And when I read this, I don't know. This is by far the biggest charade yet since I've gotten involved. 3 years ago now, a little longer. If you had when I first saw when Ryder collapsed, by the New York City carriage horse industry, its union, and now a councilman. How can I say this? This is the first time I actually sat down, really read through a bill. I understand Ryder's law. There's not much for me to understand. I know what it means. But the response here, what they're trying to convince people who are naive to reality and maybe new to what's going on in New York City with these carriage horses, they're trying to fool them yet again. This is like every time Christina Hansen goes on the media and opens her mouth. Nothing but, let's just say it for what it is, BS, okay? Try to get this to time out through the news cycle and go away so they can escape accountability for those animals that they are in charge of and who they care for. We all know, if you really pay attention and your eyes are open and you're not blinded by, they're just trying to make no, the horses. Forget about everything else. Just because people are using this as a means to, whether it's earn a living, which many of these drivers are, who are not represented or entitled to the benefits of the union. Only the owners are. But it doesn't mean you're allowed to abuse an animal that has no choice in the matter. Doesn't matter what it is. They've taken animals out of circuses. And like I said, I'm a person who believes in working horses, but properly, and putting them first. So I sat down for the first time today, read this bill, and I actually typed out on my laptop a scripted response, which I've never done before. I've made notes and points like I do at most of the rallies, and like I did at City Hall the other day, just to remind myself, because I like to keep it fresh. But this isn't a joke. If they allow this to pass, shame on New York City, the city I love. The city I adore. I do. I'm a New Yorker. I don't care where I live. I am always going to be a New Yorker. Everything I know, whatever it is, my beliefs, whatever it is that I am, that city made me. Everything I know and I'm capable of, what I was taught, is New York City. But let me read from my notes regarding the new reform law response to now Ryder's law and what happened just a few days ago when that horse Denise dropped dead. I'm going to use Adita Berngrant's phrase, drop dead in the park for the entire public and everyone on that path, residents, people working, going to and from work, and tourists. Watch this horse drop, struggle for 10 minutes, and die. But it's not their fault. Horses die. Get over it. That's their response. Horses die. Get over it. So the way I wrote this down, and please bear with me, I got to address this one my way. In my words, when I was first sent to me by Adita, I was like, I said, that's your thing. You do the politics and the lobbying. And then I read it and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And then it all started to become clear. It's by far their most desperate move yet. And looking back, the pattern is beyond crystal clear. What's the pattern here? The pattern is every time something happened, Ryder died, Blackjack died, this horse got loose, running through the park with a passer in the back, no driver. It was a garbage truck. It's always someone else's fault. They're never going to admit that it's Manhattan and the worst place for a horse to be. It's always about them. So the HEART program, more regulations. That was in the words of their vet, Dr. Gabriel. There's room for more regulation. Where I'm going with all this is, every time you say this, you're saying they don't know what the hell they're doing. After all these years, we've been here hundreds of years. This was since the park was opened in the mid 1800s. Okay, and it's now 2026, and you still need to be told what to do and how to care for a horse and how to operate and how to keep the park safe, keep the public safe, keep yourself safe. You need more regulation, more oversight, more rules, more laws. A law? A horse expert, Tristan Aldrich, what happened to him? Came and gone because they didn't want him. Like I said, 68 individual independent businesses. Like they say, you're going to put 68 people out of business. That don't agree, do things their own way, won't listen to each other. And even when the union hired somebody, they drove him out of there. One of the biggest problems. They're competing against each other for the same dollar. Doesn't work. This isn't a group. They surely are not united, and they're represented by a union because the union only represents the ownership, the money. They use this. Oh, here's another one of the big ones. We use the same vets and farriers as NYPD mounted. Okay, put your horses next to their horses. Last night, I'm talking to Adita, and she was sending me pictures of the mounted horses going down 8th Avenue behind the garden. And I said, this is going to be bad. I said, but watch those animals and look at those animals. Amazing condition. But they say that they're held to the same standards. They even say that some of the standards are less with the NYPD. Look at those horses next to yours. Give me a break. I've got a couple comparisons in my head, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to lower myself to it. It would turn personal. But, let's just say apples to oranges. Leave it at that. And now a new law. A new law. You got to hear this one, everybody. They have their own law that they put up in front of the health committee that has to go through the health committee. Same one as Riders Law. Dueling bills is what it's called. This is going to fix everything. Again, every time something goes wrong, their only response is, we're going to make it better. We're going to fix it. You never have any intention of fixing it or doing it right to begin with. You just drag it out until nobody's paying attention anymore. But that's not happening because you've really pissed off this city this time, including people in that in the chambers in that council who gave Christopher Marte a standing ovation for reintroducing the new version of Riders Law. A standing ovation. Enough is enough. But please listen. I needed to say things again the way I feel about horses. I was in harness racing, didn't win races. Why? I could never do the things that they do to horses to win races. I was too worried and concerned for the health of my animals, anybody's animals. I saw a lot of bad things in harness racing, a lot of bad things. And what happens to those horses when certain things have been injected into them the way they, when it comes to that, trying to find an illegal edge. It's disgusting. I would never do it, never will, don't care, doesn't make me feel bad. I will die with my low training average, but I never hurt a horse. That's all that matters to me is them, that they're happy, healthy, and get everything that not only that they need, but also that they want. Horsemanship is 50% experience and 50% love for the horse. That's the way I feel. If you're going to do this and take the responsibility for that living animal, and these are gorgeous animals, that return what you give to them. You show them affection and they will show you affection and loyalty for the rest of their lives. I can't explain to you some of the horses at this farm that I don't talk about. And one in particular, a foal, that once that bond is made, it's incredible to have an animal like that come to you and just wants to be with you. Wants to have you touching them, wants to touch you, interact with you, play with you, work with you, because you can do that. Work together, and they will work and really work for you as long as you care for them. And they will work for a long time and stay healthy. If you know what you're doing, that's the experience, and you care about them. That's the love. 50-50. Also knowing when to ask for help. Nobody knows it all, especially when it comes to a horse. Anything, I don't know how many times. And that's why you want to be around professionals or other horsemen with more with experience and say, hey, I can't figure that. I mean, I'll give credit a lot to, again, a lot of people I know in harness racing that bounce ideas off each other. True horsemen. Hey, I got one that's doing this. I don't know what to do. I can't figure him out. We use just something with shoeing. This horse knocks his knees, hitting his knees. I've tried everything. Hey, but did you try this? Try this. Try this. Or they can't be fixed. You know, sometimes the best advice is there's nothing you can do. That's the horse. He's born that way. He's gated that way. He's conformed that way. All these things that these people, if you went through those stables down there, those 3 stables, other than getting ridiculous answers back in response like they give you, horses die. They have no other clue. Yet these people have none of this, with the exception of a few. There's a couple down there, good people, that I still communicate with, but I keep it quiet because I don't want to expose them and have them have to pay for interacting with me. A couple times it's happened where other drivers have come while I'm talking like a gentleman, even better than that, as a horseman, with some of those people who are there. There's a sprinkling, but they have no say because they don't want those people, like me in harness racing, are dangerous. Because that's transparency. One I had that I recorded, another one that I recorded that I will never reveal, but telling me that they're all fighting, they don't get along, they don't care about the horse. And that it's a crap show in those stables. Yet these people have none of this with the exception of a few that I can count on one hand. It's less than 5 or less. It's really 3. I got 3 that pop right off. 1, 4, but she's miserable and you can't talk to her. These people, they're a mix of ignorance and arrogance, as evident by what we see every day in their stables, on the streets, and in Central Park. Another horse died while the driver was on his phone, and members of the public, they called them Good Samaritans. No, members of the public unhitched and undressed that animal while he lay there. Just go watch the video. The driver was no part of it. Where was the driver? Well, the driver was on the phone with the veterinarian. Nope. See, that's what we would do. You got something going on like that, you call the vet right away, you call someone from your barn, hey, get down here, bring the truck down, whatever. Bring the emergency medical, just in case, bring the bute, the Banamine, whatever, bring everything you could, just in case there's a chance that you could save this horse. That's not who he was on the phone with. He was on a conference call with his shop steward in the union being told what to say and what not to say. Yes, I talk to people. There are, like I said, some people in those barns and colleagues of theirs where I can get the truth. Their concern is never for the horse. It's only for themselves. That's a fact. Every time they speak, they prove that. Every time their shop steward goes on TV or goes in front of a camera, in front of a microphone, they prove that. They only care about themselves. And then when all else fails, then the crocodile tears, like they did the other day, where they took the day off, a day of mourning. Bullshit. Right on cue. Their response again is, we're going to fix this. Well, if you have to fix this, you're admitting there's something wrong after, 180 years, 150 years, 400 years on the island. All that. They built the city. The park, been here since it was built. That path was so people could see the park from the back of a carriage. Yeah, in the mid-1800s. Like every time they are exposed for what they really are. This time, a bill to reform themselves. A bill this time to reform themselves. So they're admitting they don't know what they're doing after all this time. That they don't care and they have to be governed to perform the basics like proper care for the horses and obey the damn laws, which we see them break every day on the streets, in the park, whether it's the rules of the park, the laws of the city of New York, traffic laws, what have you. They feel as though they've been here, and in the words of Jill Adamski, we have the right of way over everything else. It's on Twitter, the screenshot. They believe this. So allow me to read what I called this proposed toilet paper, because that's what it is. Intro 937. Listen to the name of this. The operation of horse-drawn carriages. Intro 937, 2026. This year. Now, the operation of horse-drawn carriages. You're telling me that after all this time, you haven't figured this out? They haven't. Ignorance and arrogance. They don't know. They don't care. So I said, even the name makes me laugh. After all these years, they need to be told again how to operate. The basics. And they have a few requests in here too, which are hilarious, and I'll get to that. And it's in the form of a law this time that will be pushed through the committee. This is what they want. Then pushed through the council, and then sent to the desk of the mayor of New York City. Well, if he signs this, if this somehow makes it to his desk, I mean, there's no hope. Saying, hey, they want to make it better. No. The fact that this thing exists is proof that they don't want to make it better. They've never want to make it better. Costs too much money to make it better. That's the real reason. To operate and care for an animal, a horse, in the city of Manhattan. I'm sorry, the city of New York on the island of Manhattan. By one of their own people now, Councilman James F. Gennaro. Comedy writing councilman, that's what I called him. And said he should write for SNL after reading this. By the way, Councilman, what's your incentive in all this? Guy just comes out of the woodwork. He's the sponsor of this one, with a couple of the co-sponsors. Now listen to this. This is the bill. This bill would require the Rental Horse Advisory Board to study and make recommendations on conditions related to the operation of horse-drawn carriages. More recommendations and regulation. More, even more, on what they call heavily regulated by 3 different organizations in the city of New York. And they still can't get it right. Horses getting loose, horses dying. I will say, yes, horses die. But you put yourself in that position with the horses that you acquire and obtain, and for your reasons. The bill would amend the source of information about, listen to this, is what their priorities are. Amend the source of information about air temperature and relative humidity to rely on measurements provided by the National Weather Service. They don't like that the NYPD literally goes to with a handheld thermometer, mini weather station, and they take and they match it up. I mean, when you look at Weather Channel, whatever, it's within, again, when it's hot and humid out there. 90 degrees or higher, they're out of the park. 80 degrees or higher, plus the relative humidity, if it equals 150 or higher, they're out of the park. And they have to be told to do this. Without these laws and regulations, they'd stay in the park. Admission that they need to be told to do right by the animals. And now they're complaining about how they obtain, this is their worry. Like they're being cheated, how they gather the information, the temperature and the humidity. This is their big change. This is what's going to make it all better. The bill would establish an annual survey concerning hitching posts and require installation of hitching posts in response to the survey. I have notes later on this, but I just want to say this. First of all, You're never in charge of your horses like you're supposed to be. It is your job to attend to your horses. If it means standing at their heads all day because you have a horse that weighs in excess of a half a ton and more with the draft horses, standard breds, not so much. That shouldn't be in that park, but you buy them cheap and abuse them and force them to work. A horse that shouldn't be pulling a carriage in a harness all day in Manhattan. Crying and complaining that the reason that your horses are getting loose is because of there's no hitching posts. No, it's because you don't tend to your horses. You're either chatting in groups, and you see it every day, and I have hours of video of that and them sleeping in the backs of the carriages while the horse stands there, nothing at his head, not tied off anywhere. It's your job to keep control of your animal, your horse, in the city of New York, in Midtown Manhattan. And then even when they get loose, you blame everything else. So what happens when they are hitched? What is this? I'm going to talk later on this, what I wrote in depth. And who's paying for that? I'll get to that in a few minutes. The bill would establish criteria for practical examinations and the granting of probationary licenses to operate a horse-drawn carriage under limited circumstances. You've already admit, Christina Hansen, that you are operating out there with horses that aren't ready to be used in Manhattan. The one last Labor Day that got loose, you said had only been there a short time, wasn't acclimated or desensitized to working in Central Park, yet you had passengers in the back. You haven't figured out in all this time that you shouldn't be putting anyone at risk with a horse that's not ready to be there? Practical examinations? You haven't figured this out yet in all this time? So you're admitting you've been abusing these horses. And I'll just keep repeating that. Every time that you cry wolf here and come up with these nonsensical responses and we're going to fix it, you admit that you've been abusing and neglecting the horses. Not to mention putting at risk the safety of the public and your own people, yourselves. Like that guy that was trapped under that carriage a couple of weeks ago. And then Christina Hansen's response was, took an hour for 911 to get an ambulance here. That's disgusting. Always about you. Had you people been doing things correctly, it doesn't happen. That two horses crashed into each other, trying to make a U-turn at 7th Avenue, where there's not enough room. Your fault. And I'll get to it again that these people, most of them, have never, not even driven a horse before. They've never touched one before. The bill would amend the morning hours of operation to allow horse-drawn carriages to be operated as early as 7 a.m. They want them out there even longer now. You can't handle it for the hours that they're out there as it is. So now we're going to double up. Lengthen it. You're only supposed to be out there, 9 hours total? So what happens? Are you going to split these shifts? Normally you bring the first shift out, day shift, back at 5, and you bring out the night shift. So it's going to be 7 to 5 now? And you've been cheating that forever. It's never been enforced. 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. Am I correct? Yet that never happens. Because like I said, regulation is useless if it's not enforced. And that's on the city. And you take full advantage of that because you still consistently break all the rules of the park and all the rules of the city of New York and traffic laws every day. You are by far if they wrote tickets for every time you people run red lights, the city wouldn't have any there would be no deficit. Mandani could have balanced the budget without having to take how much from the state? Monday through Friday in the borough of Manhattan. We're going to start even earlier and have the horses there even longer during the busiest days of the week on the streets. I'm not talking about in the park on the weekends when you make your most money. You can't be taught to care about or love a horse. And that's what they try to do here. Whatever the motivation is for people to come in and want to drive a horse or carriage horse, work with a carriage horse in New York City, that doesn't matter. Do they have any experience? No. Do they really care about horses? They say they do, but by their actions, you can tell they obviously don't. You're born with the love of these animals. Over time, some people that have never, didn't realize it, found out later in life that they love these animals. These people need to be forced to care. And when I say that, I'm talking about by these regulations. They don't care because they care. They have to have it forced on them. The vast majority of them have not only never driven a horse before working in New York City, they've never touched one. And that's this is talking to these people directly. No, never. I've never even touched a horse. And when I first came here, it was my first time. I took their course, and they taught me, they trained me 2 weeks with another guy, blah, blah, blah. But do they know anything about a horse? Like I said, how many times is there a horse out there that's showing the signs of soreness, whatever it is, head nod, hiking behind, whatever, stuff that most horsemen will say, oh, hey, he's off. They don't have a clue. And even when they do, they continue to work them. Either way, it's both abuse and neglect. Either you don't know or you don't care. Every day in the park, this happens. And the most dangerous to the horse. Always, in the end. Their response is they did it. When you see a horse that's in trouble, if you approach them, try to video them, document, they start screaming that they're the victim and the target. They call 911, that they're being harassed in a public setting. For anyone. Now the members of the public too. Doesn't matter. Looking for some way to fudge the numbers. Let me ask this. When it's 50% humidity, right? Like today it was. And was hovering in the mid to upper 80s. We know they will wait. If it's 89 degrees and 50% humidity, they don't care. Oh, no, regulations say we can stay out here. It's never, hey, you know what? We're not getting any business. These horses are just miserable. It's terrible. We shouldn't have them out here. A lot of them will have breathing problems. They say they don't, but their own shop steward says, this one's on clenbuterol, this one's being treated, whatever, we do what we got to do. Yeah, treating the symptom of being in New York City. But if it's 89 degrees, they will wait for 90 degrees and NYPD to throw them out of there. Not unlike, what was it, 2 years ago? When the city was orange from those forest fires in Canada, the mayor declared a health emergency. The air quality was over 300, I believe, higher. They were still out there. Literally, nobody was out in the city. But the carriage horses were until they were forced to go back. That shows you they don't care. Everything they do is an example of they don't care. That's abuse. That's neglect. And you continue to do it, that's cruelty. Didn't they say they already have regular exams? Their own vet said last year that there's room for even more regulations. Their own vet said last year that there's room for more regulations. What more regulations? They say they're heavily regulated. They have all these, they follow everything. But wait a minute. You said there's no problem here. Then why do you need more regulations? Dr. Gabriel Cook sat there and said, you know what? This horse, you may not believe this. You may not believe me, with his hands in his pockets. Right there, he knows he's full of crap by saying that. This horse is going to go out, and he's going to do light work, and he's going to go on a hack line, and he's going to socialize on those hack lines with other horses in full harness, standing there like this. That's socialization for an equine, according to Dr. Gabriel Cook. And that was the other thing I forgot. What did Christina Hansen says? These horses have the easiest job on the planet. Slowly gallivanting, through the park, and dying, and lame. Some have weight issues. Terrible horses. I've gone through all this. I want to stick to this bullshit bill that they've thrown out here. Distraction is what it is. And again, every time that they do this, it admits that they are incompetent, they don't care, and they can't do it the right way on their own because they have no intention of doing it the right way on their own. And once this blows over, it'll go right back to normal. Same way when they had the kid walking through there and petting the horses. And like I said, he was a good horseman, but they weren't listening to him because they don't care. Now they want to stretch the hours out even more. I'm not even going to address that anymore. I'm just, may as well make it 24 hours a day. What do you care? Because it doesn't matter to you. You don't give a crap what the effect is on the animals. Zero. Hitching posts. Because they have proven that they do not pay attention to the horses they are in charge of. Look at what happens every time a horse gets loose. They blame something else, but it's always them. They're not at their heads. They're not doing their jobs. How did two guys let that mare get loose last Labor Day with someone in the back? Two drivers. And the reason she had two drivers was she was green to the park. She still couldn't be trusted. But they let her get away with someone in the back that the guy had to bail out for his friggin' life. And they blamed, again, Christina, an aggressive garbage truck that we're looking into it may have touched the back of the carriage. At the same time that these guys were out of the carriage, nobody at the lines and nobody at her head. Bullshit. I've got countless videos of horses unattended, which I do. Which doesn't matter. They don't care. While they're either off in a group chatting or worse in the back of the carriage sleeping. Videos are on my YouTube if anybody doesn't believe it. And I got plenty more that I never uploaded. I just don't want to overdo it with the same crap. This is in the old West 1800s, which I said earlier, where someone needs to hitch their horse outside of the saloon. It's sheer laziness and the refusal to attend to their horse, which is required by their own regulations. But you don't need more regulations. But we're going to get more regulations because we do our job. So why do you need more regulations? Lies, 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 pathological liars. Pay attention and do their job. Think the Conservancy will approve of this? Good luck getting first the Conservancy, who wants you out of there, unless they convince the mayor, I guess, to override it and insist that these hitching posts be installed for these clowns. And even if they're approved, why do the taxpayers of the city of New York have to pay for the facilities to cover for 68 individual independent businesses? 68 individual independent businesses, the taxpayers have to provide for them because they don't do their job. And these people are granted the privilege to operate and to continue to break the rules of the park, the laws of the streets in the city of New York. Because again, like I said in front of City Hall last week, this isn't a right. They say it's a right. You've got that person with the purple hair who runs her mouth about everybody else and accuses people of things that in the real world, like I said, if we're challenged, she'd be done, but it's not worth it. Saying that it's their right. It is your right to earn a living. But it's a privilege to operate in that capacity in the city of New York. You need a license to do it, and you have to follow the rules. You and your colleagues aren't. So the privilege can be taken away. You have the privilege of driving a motor vehicle. If you speed too many times, they can take it away. It's the privilege to drive a motor vehicle. You cannot drink and drive. they can take the privilege away. That's the way it works. You're not special. Once again, admission that they take no responsibility for their animals and the safety of the public in the city of New York. Every day it happens. Why is it none of this has already happened? Because they're never going to do it without cover for the moment and then go right back to the way they were operating. And only when the truth is exposed do they respond with another childish attempt to distract people from the reality that Manhattan is no place for any horse, NYPD mounted included. Sorry, do a beautiful job. It's just not the right place for a horse. It was amazing to watch what those animals did again in terrible conditions last night during those, I guess you could call it, riots after the Knicks won, and people just get stupid. But is it right? You know, I'm on the border with that because they have to live in the city every day. And those horses, other than that arena they have at the Mercedes-Benz building, they don't get out. And there are two other stables that nobody ever talks about. Because it's a city, it's Manhattan. You just can't, Manhattan's not going to change for anyone, much less some horses. Manhattan is evolved into what you see now. You can't make horses evolve to be equipped to adapt to that environment. They're just still horses. And you're not going to distract people from that reality, especially people who only care about themselves, not for the horses nor the public. It cannot be fixed. They will never abide by any rules or regulations. They've proven that because every time this happens, they say the answer to fixing this is more rules and regulations. It's just pathetic to think about that. Once you wrap your head around the way they think, it's laughable, it's desperate, and it's embarrassing. And they need to be stopped. They can't even own up to the horror the public witnessed in the park last week. And they're befuddled by the genuine reactions of terrorized and terrified New York City residents and terrorists. I'm sorry, tourists. New York City residents and tourists. Hansen calling it revolting at how they reacted. She's on camera saying the way that people responded. Crying, screaming, yes, upset, said things that were stupid. Any of the stuff that's going on, if people are actually threatening them, that's not us. That's not the end. You know, there were also people that set the city on fire last night because the New York Knicks became the NBA champions. There's no excuse for that. Stupid is, what do they say? Can't fix stupid. People like that, they don't represent what we're doing. You may use that as your defense. Again, the victim. And again, skirting the fact that it's the horses that pay in the end that you don't care about. It's always about you. Calling it revolting at how they reacted. Revolting is every time she opens her damn mouth. That's revolting. And that's the truth. And then the ultimate desperate move, claiming they are now being threatened. Then blaming the people in the organizations who are spearheading their being banished. That's all they got. What's next? They're going to accuse us of anything they can come up with to try to make people look the other way. And, oh, you know what? It's not working this time. Have your union put in some more BS ads and Photoshops and, whoever it is that's, I'm sure Chris is going to be the latest one. The man who sponsored the latest version of Rider's Law. Go for it. That's all you got. Because all we have to do is show up in the park and watch how you operate. And the worst person you want there is me. The guy that sits on the park bench like this and just watches until I catch one. And then I stand up, I start the video, I document, I let your driver curse me out, I laugh, and then we report it. Reality. You're never going to get around reality. especially with someone that knows what they're looking at. Every time where you're not supposed to be, the one guy that didn't like me videoing on Fifth Avenue decided he was going to push and kick me. Got away with that one. That was a freebie. But boy, were they scared that day. Not worth it. In the moment, I'm not trying to hurt them. They've been given every opportunity to try to do things right, and they just don't. The same way I said when I first arrived there, I thought I could go to them as horsemen and say, hey, you know, that one's a little sore behind. This one's got a little bit of a head nod. Well, look at that foot. Whatever. No, they want no part of that. None. So I said, try again. Nobody's buying it. None of those people will condone that, meaning us, the people who are against this. Just another play out of the TWU Local 100 playbook. Nobody is to blame except for them. And that's the truth. No matter what you say or do, no matter how much you throw yourselves, temper tantrums, pointing fingers, accusations, threat, whatever, you. Because at the end of the day, you're responsible for those animals. And you need to be stopped. You're never going to do it right. And the city of New York cannot be changed to accommodate you. And that's it. It's over. It's obsolete. It's abuse. And many times I have found and documented where it's cruel, because you know, and they're in pain, and you continue to work them. That's cruelty. There's a difference between abuse, negligence, and cruelty. You're guilty of the first two nearly every day. And every couple of days, you're guilty of that last one, because I see it and I document it and I turn it in, and that horse gets taken off the street, even by admission by your own veterinarian, who's confirmed what we found, because he can't not, even him, who tries to lean to you. You aren't special and you won't be missed. And that's how I'm going to wrap this up. Yeah, they spend lots of money to care for their horses. They cry they have no money and they're making no money. And when you see the condition of those horses in the stables they're in, you're never going to win that argument with me. I've seen the condition of the way that their farriers care for those hooves. I see the way that they feed them. I see the way that they're bed down. I see their living conditions. I see the sore horses in the park. I see the way that they're treated, the way that they stand there all day long. I see that they don't even clean their goddamn harnesses for the most part. Do something. They do nothing. Manhattan is Manhattan. Every time one of those horses gets loose, they never care about the people that are endangered on the streets or in the park, and they certainly don't care about what happens to the horses in the end of the day. Oh, we had our veterinarian come in and nothing happened. Nothing to see here. You got two of your drivers in the last year were sent to the hospital, and because they are not represented, nor are they entitled to any of the benefits offered by TWU Local 100, they have to pay for their injuries out of pocket, and their losses is out of their pocket. But you're a union, and you're vital transport workers. Give me a break. Abusive, glorified carriage merry-go-round operators. Peace, everybody.